Ah yes, fall season in November. Despite the fact that I would consider it winter, but nobody cares about what I think until I realize, holy crap, I'm falling. This is different type of fall I was referring to, goddammit. We need something more relaxing. Yeah, that's it. Nothing like fall in Stardew Valley. But despite the intro that is full of different types of perspectives on the word fall in English language, we can all agree about the fact that Steam has us covered when it comes to fall season sale. Funniest thing is that my expectations of what might be discounted is probably similar to the meme of how we expect the fall season to look like versus what it actually looks like. But considering the fact that my assumptions about the Halloween sale were pretty accurate, I thought to myself, hey, how about I give you some games to look out for and maybe expand your horizons. I have to mention as usual that these are just suggestions for you to look into. As well, please, if you are considering a purchase of these games, make sure that your hardware can run it. Because when I started my channel and I was only rocking a laptop with 8 gigs of RAM and 1050 as a GPU, yeah, it was not fun. So just a reminder. And with all that said, let us take a look at the games you should consider, and I will be dividing the video into different sections so that you can make different choices or look up what you want to, as Max has you covered, and all the information will be found in the video's description. One important thing to keep in mind is that the Autumn sale will take place from 22nd of November until the 29th of November. And then in a month's time we will have the Winter sale from the 22nd of December until the 5th of January. What the hell do you mean I have to do a brand new list in less than a month? I don't have time for this. When will I play all these cool games I keep recommended, goddammit? Never mind, let's get back to the list. God of War. Being a guy who never had the chance to play myself the original trilogy because I never had access to consoles, I was thrilled when I found out that the 4th installment in the God of War franchise, and I'm not counting the mobile games and all the other releases in between God of War 2 and 3, has been released to the PC port, and the response is overwhelmingly positive. Therefore, as God of War Ragnarok is only currently being released this November, chances are we're going to have to wait for it to be experienced on the PC port, but in the meantime, following Kratos and Atreus is quite the action adventure, because who would not like to see Greek god fight Chris Hemsworth? Wait, what do you mean he's not in the game? But he's Thor, no? Devlink. This is an interesting title currently in early access, which limits some of the possibilities, yet the variety of loadouts will still allow you to have fun with how you approach the enemy and try to eliminate them one by one. You will be able to keep leveling up, getting abilities, and switching your loadouts in order to face any challenges that the game might throw in your general direction, and once the game will be fully released and more classes will be accessible, you will be happy to know about this game specifically. So this year, fans of the Lord of the Rings universe were introduced to Amazon's take on the universe itself with the Rings of Power TV show. Lots of people were upset with the TV show, and I mean, Amazon has done worse things before, trust me. I worked for over 5 years at the company, and I know some of the Dark Lord secrets. But that got me thinking about the game set in the same universe, which years ago appeared out of nowhere and took the gaming world by the storm. Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor places you between The Hobbit and the Lord of the Ring film trilogy, where you take control of Talion, who used to be a Gondorian ranger, who due to Sauron's servants became bound with Celebrimbor, and together went to avenge the deaths of their families and try to defeat the evil forces. This game became well known thanks to its Nemesis system, where if you were killed by an orc, they became much stronger and even more deadlier. I do not recommend the sequel as it was full of microtransactions, but this title is definitely something you should check out. Grounded. Now this is showing my age maybe, but long time ago in a galaxy far away, there was a movie called Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. This game follows a similar premise where you and your friends have been shrunk in the backyard of your house, and now you need to scavenge, craft, and survive so that you can get back home and get unshrunk. Starting off with a historic event, and maybe not just because this game will transfer you into the historical setting, but maybe even because it's finally out of its long early access development cycle, Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord is another title which you should consider during the Steam sale. So this is quite the unique game as it caters to quite a lot of players because of what you can achieve. Do you want to have a small raiding party? You can do it and totally customize them, or you can work yourself up to having a whole army at your disposal, become a lord, or expand your power by seizing other lands, or become a king and waged wars. The imagination is your limit. Tiny Tina's Wonderland. What can I say? I really like the Borderlands franchise, and in Borderlands 2 we were introduced to Tiny Tina, a little rascal who's quite efficient with explosives. And it is no surprise that we are now taking a look at Borderlands, despite the fact that maybe it would have been a better fit during the actual Halloween sale, all things considered. But this game will actually transfer you into fantasy world with dragons and all sorts of creatures, and instead of your abilities you will be using magic and still have access to a crap ton of weapons to shoot at anything that moves in your vicinity. The Outer Worlds. Man, I love the Fallout franchise. Even despite the fact that sometimes I have to install a bunch of modes in order to actually run the older titles without experiencing crashes all the damn time. Or maybe even the newer title where Preston Garvey just won't shut up. But one thing which I have been saying for years now is that Bethesda needs to abandon their old ass engine and use a different one. And here comes Obsidian Entertainment, and they use the Unreal Engine 4 to prove that you can actually get a great storytelling, lots of guns, character customization, and role-playing options, and set out yourself on brand new adventure. Now the sequel is actually announced, but we still do not have the release date, so unless you want to spend your money on 16 times the detail, I would recommend you to check this game out as it's a great experience. And also Obsidian Entertainment is responsible for Fallout New Vegas, so they know what they were doing. Well, I kind of touched upon Stardew Valley, which is a farming simulator, and since we are in the simulation sequence, one game which I had an eye out for has finally been released to the early access, so let's take a look at it. Coral Island. Now, the farming simulators have this amazing effect on people where it's actually more likely that you will do chores around your fictional home and farm rather than actually doing the dishes, which are now probably sitting in your sink for a day or two. Come on, be honest. Despite the early access on this game, it will still offer you plenty of opportunities and adventures to experience, plant different crops throughout different seasons, and have lots of fun, because these games can actually take a long time to get accustomed to, find out all the secrets and all the fun activities that the games might hold. So I highly recommend this to be one of the titles which you might consider. No place like home. I know, another clean up your land and build up your farm game. What can I tell you? Maybe it's because the best vacation I had in the past 8 or so years was not actually me traveling to Sydney, Australia with my family, but actually working at my family member's friend ranch when he went to France or something. I don't really recall all the details, and I had to take care personally of 200 chickens, 12 sheep, 8 goats, 10 geese, bunch of quails, and bunch of other stuff. On top of it, his Great Dane had at that time litter of 8 puppies, So I guess thanks to that experience, I kind of really enjoyed these farming sims, and maybe this one might be something you might consider as well. Farthest Frontier. If you like city builders, you are definitely going to find some beauty in this game. On top of the fact that you will need to manage your population's needs, like in other franchises, maybe Anno for example, this game will add in a spin with the fact that your food and other produce is going to decay. This means that a lot of research will need to go into food preservation, and this is a different spin on the normal town building games, which this is normally excluded, as the focus is primarily focused on you just being able to produce what your population needs. And because of this, I really recommend this title, as sure it's in early access, but there's still the refund policy, so maybe consider it, or your wishlist will do. Empires of the Undergrowth. Lots of strategy games revolve around people, so it's interesting when some studios come up with concept where actually you are not including humans or aliens or either one of those two battling things out, but instead you focus on battles that are happening right now and can be much more devastating. Well, depending on who wins. Therefore, I'm glad to recommend RTS game focusing around ants, which have been represented in movies, but not so much in actual video games. And if you consider how many battles can one ant colony experience for its survival, this title seems like a fun way to take a look at the ants and see them battle it out with other large bugs or other living beings which are higher on the food chain, and this can be a truly interesting experience. The Rift Breaker. Well, I have already recommended this title this year, and I still have to admit that this is one of the most fun games I have played in the last 12 months. It's like Factorio on steroids, but instead of trying to get off the planet, here you're actually trying to bring in more people, and in order to do this, you will have to complete and fulfill various types of challenges. It has a large array of enemies which will keep attacking your base, but also a massive tech tree to help you become more efficient and deadly in the process. I especially love the fact of how the game world is set up so that even when you kill a large enemy, these small critters will come crawling in and start feasting on the corpses of the larger creatures. The Steam page has also a demo, so if you won't buy it, I at least do suggest to check out the demo and see if you will actually enjoy the title by yourself. Against the Storm. This is another title in early access, but it does show promise thanks to the fact that you will be playing as a specific class of colonists called the Viceroys, who are put in charge by the Queen herself to reclaim long-lost lands and regain the resources which can be found in them. It does have a roguelike aspect thanks to the fact that you will not be in charge of building up just one settlement, but you will have to build up multiple settlements, and each one of them will have to fulfill specific requirements in order to actually defeat the dangers which might be lurking in those lands or to not be defeated. Sports are a little bit more tricky for me, as it's highly specific when it comes to people's preferences. It can be either soccer, it can be basketball, or many of the other sports. However, I cannot give real recommendations, as for example, FIFA has been released recently, so it might not be discounted, and if we look for games like Rocket League, which is a really popular title, yet because it's now owned directly by Epic Games, you will no longer be able to find it on Steam and see if they will actually give you a discount for this. I personally do not play sports games, so finding recommendations is difficult for me, and therefore I will leave it up to you in the comment section to possibly recommend something that people might actually enjoy. Just please, no links to those MILFs who are looking for a date in your town, because last time I tried one of those, it nearly looked like the new Outlast Trials video, and I think I'm still missing a piece of my kidney. And that will be it for this sale. I obviously cannot go through a lot of titles, as it would be impossible for me to recommend the perfect game for everyone. But in case you might not see a game you would like to be discounted on Steam, check out the other platforms, as unfortunately my limited time allows me to only focus on one platform. Also keep in mind that Steam tends to quite a lot of times sell whole franchises, so you might actually come across bundles like Batman Arkham Collection, where you will have multiple games which you will get with a discount. And in case you are new to video games and you are exploring Steam as a potential platform for you to build up your gaming library, my suggestion is in the search bar to look up bundles, as this way you might come across, for example, franchises like Fallout and many more, where for one price, which might be discounted, you will get multiple games, which will lead to plenty of fun experiences. One more thing to keep in mind is that there is still the Christmas sale coming up, so chances are if you have not seen a title you want to get with a discount, it might be actually possible that during that last sale the discount will be applied. But as I mentioned multiple times already, please consider the date of release of a game you might want, as if something comes out at the end of November this year, most likely you will not see any discount applied for it, unless it's discounted upon the release date itself. But this usually applies only to certain titles which are of the indie genre, so it's not really applicable for AAA titles. So titles like Gotham Knights or maybe even the new Modern Warfare will not be applicable. Also, if you're short on time, checking your wishlist is a great way to speed things up, as going through the pages of discounted items and games might take you forever. So going through the wishlist directly is a speedy way of approaching the titles which you already do desire, and not the titles you might stumble upon while the pages are loading up with lots of different amazing discounts. And with that, I'm going to wish you a pleasant rest of the year. In case I do not manage to make another sale video, well, I guess still consider subscribing, as it helps me grow the channel and get more feedback and input about games and come up with more fun content. Thank you all for watching, and bye bye.